So guys, Tucker Singer, SNS Smithing. We got another welder review. I had another company reach out to me, similar like Arc Captain did in the past. This one is called Riland. And they've sent me a small welder. Here's their main box here, Riland. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I apologize if I'm wrong. This is not going to be a paid review. They just reached out, asked if I'd be interested in testing it out. I said yeah. I'll let them know right out the gate. It's going to be an honest, full-on review. If the welder sucks, it's underpowered, anything like that, I'm not going to pull any punches on the review, and I'm going to try to burn it up and kill it like we did with the smaller Arc Captain welder. So let's get on to the box opening, shall we? Alrighty guys, so in our box opening here we got one of our handy dandy fixed shade handheld lenses. This does come with 5 60-13 rods, a little baby chipping hammer, our leads. We got our stick lead here, the ittiest bittiest baby welder we got. Again, here is our specs here: 120 amps, 60% duty cycle, and 95 amps is 100% duty cycle. It is a 110 machine. Go our ground clamp, jumper cable style, real small. Again, this is a little 110 welder. Here is our little chipping hammer that it comes with, / wire brush. So I'm going to get the welder set up here, and we're going to run the 60-13, see if it actually works. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and power on. Power switch is on the back. And so we should have power. I don't hear no fan. You don't have an actual digital readout display, but for all the more that this welder is going to offer you and the price point, it's kind of to be expected. Oh, here we go. We're kicking on now. There's a slight delay. Now we have a digital readout. It did work for a second there. Alright. We're reading at 126 volts. Or amps, I mean. So for our 60-10, we're going to run her about 70. Be on the safe side. I have a piece of scrap here that we're going to run our stringer beads on. The 610 will come with it. So technically, right out of the box, you can weld with this. And she actually does put a bead in. A little bit on the colder side. Let's turn her up some here. We'll go up to 90 on display settings. Alright guys, so here's our second bead here with the 60-13 it came with. So you see, we turned her up and she runs. Actually, it's a pretty smooth little running machine. I do think we're running a fair bit colder than the display settings say by probably like 10 to 20 amps. So now we're going to hop to a 1/8 inch 60-10, which should run decently. Probably around 95 amps on a regular machine, no problem. So we'll run about 95 on this machine, see how it does with 6010. Alrighty guys, so as typical with a lot of these smaller inverter welders, you can't quite run the 70 like 6010 very well. You can get it to start, but then it cuts the arc back out. For some reason, 6010 always has a hard time on some of these budget machines, which is kind of to be expected. Like I said, the arc before the Harbor Freight welders ran them okay. Still cut out a bit, but not too bad. So to be expected, 6010 didn't do so great on. Now we're going to turn the machine all the way up, and I was even when I turned it all the way up to 125. So now I'm going to have it full blast, and we're going to try an 1/8 inch 7018. If the volts on them, or if the amperage is on the machine, or what they say, they should be able to run this no problem. Typically I run 7018 about 115, so we have 10 more amps than we need to. So this should run nice and buttery smooth. So guys, as we figured, this little machine doesn't have a whole lot of power to it. It doesn't have quite enough to run the 1/8 inch 7018. It probably could run 3/32 rods. Fine, we don't have any on hand here. But the smaller 6013s, well, these are even 1/8 inch 6013s. It ran all right. Oh no, those are 6010. Sorry. Oh yeah. So it runs 3/32 rods fine. You could be able to do that. You probably run 3/32 7018 okay. 6010s it still didn't like. But the 6013s it runs nice and smooth. So we'll run another one, a couple of them here, and see how she goes. It doesn't lay a bad little bead with 30-second rods. So, all in all, for the price of this machine, I don't need to go bad for a beginner. It'll throw the other stuff on the farm real nice. Alright guys, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Information for this welder is going to be in the description. See you on the next one. Forge your fate. Alrighty, so now we're going to try welding a 3/32 7018. Running at 125 amps because this seems to run a little cold. So after giving it the benefit of the doubt, even running 3/32, this machine for some reason does not like 7018s, AC or DC rods, so this isn't great for 7018. Our next pens we'll move on to 3/32 6011. So you see our bead with our 6011, tied in well. It didn't want to go right away. This machine still is kind of funky with certain rods. It doesn't really want to run until you have the electrode overheated a good bit. But once you get it going, it can run smooth. You have to long arc these 60 series rods on the 6010 and 6011. So now we'll move on to 6010, 330 seconds. It has a hard time keeping the arc on the 6010s ignited just like it did on the larger rods. So same thing as like the 7018. So far, the go-to rod with this has been 6013. We'll run another 6013 just to double check. Alright, we're back to 6013, 330 seconds. We're going to see how this is keeping up, if the machine's degrading or if it was just those rods. And these are a separate type of 6013, not just the ones that they sent in the box. So same as before, it'll run 6013 pretty well. It will do 6011. So those two rods are very compatible with any kind of polarity, so it'll run well on this. Overall thoughts, this machine will do well for what you pay for it. I wouldn't give this too much criticism because it's a cheap machine. It's a little 110, so it's not going to have a lot of power. So right off the bat, can't fault it for that, but it will work if you got to put together anything 1/4 inch or thinner material. So we'll talk about final thoughts later, guys. Alrighty, guys, Dr. Singer S. Smithing. So our overall thoughts on the Riland 120 stick welder. It is an Amazon special. They did reach out to me and ask me to do a review on this. I told them I'd have honest reviews. Now, it will weld 6013 beautifully, which is the same type of rod that they send you when you order the machine. When I looked, prices on this machine varied between $50 to $130, $150, depending which way you order it through on the internet. I will have links in the description and everything down below. My overall thoughts, it is a decent machine for what you pay for. You're not going to get a lot of versatility out of it. But if you want something, say like you do trail riding or whatever, you want something you can keep in, that you can run off a little inverter generator and keep in like the center console or glove box of a mud truck or farm vehicle, it'll work. You beat it up and it'll be alright. Duty cycle wise, it's hard to hit the duty cycle. I had my students play with it for a while. They ran it for a good long time and it didn't shut off. But the breakers attached to the outlet where they were working did trip once or twice, and they were 20 amp breakers, so breakers will flip before the machine should shut off. So that's good. You can run 330 seconds 6013 all day long with it. That'll be enough to fix whatever kind of farm repair you might have for the most part, if you're looking for a budget machine. Alright, guys, talk to you later. Remember, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Remember, forge your fate.